How are properties of operations used to simplify algebraic expressions? Use properties of operations to write equivalent expressions that have no like terms and no parentheses. Write simplified equivalent expressions for 5/10 times x plus 5/10 times x plus 5/10 times x and 2 3/4 times y minus y. You can use the properties of operations to write equivalent algebraic expressions. Combine the like terms in 5/10 times x plus 5/10 times x plus 5/10 times x. What is the simplified expression?
Select your answer.
Add the coefficients and write the common variable. So 1 5/10 times x is equivalent to 5/10 times x plus 5/10 times x plus 5/10 times x. Combine the like terms in 2 3/4 times y minus y. 2 3/4 times y and y are like terms. Use the identity property of multiplication. Y is the same as 1 times y. Use the distributive property. Subtract the coefficients and write the common variable. So 1 3/4 times y is equivalent to 2 3/4 times y minus y.
Simplify the expression 4 8/10 times z minus z plus z minus 2 9/10 times z.
Now let's look at the expression and combine those like terms. So for all of the terms in this problem, they are actually all alike because they have that variable z. So we're going to combine them. They started by writing the 4 8/10 z times z and minus z. They put a 1 in front of it because it's a z, and in front of any variable with no number there's an invisible 1. So we would do the same here for that z, and then minus 2.9 z, 2 9/10 z. Now at this point, from the example, they pulled out the variable and then left everything inside a parenthesis so that you can use the distributive property. So now we then just add and subtract as we go. So 4 8/10 minus 1 will give us 3 8/10, and then 3 8/10 plus 1 will give us 4 8/10, and then 4 8/10 minus 2 9/10. I'm going to write that over here. Subtract. You have to regroup. 16 minus 9. Alright, so that is going to be, 18 minus 9 is 9. 3 minus 2 is 1. And then we have 1 9/10 times z. And the simplified expression would be 1 9/10 times z. And that's it.
Simplify the expression -3 plus 1/3 times x plus -4 5/10 minus 1/5 times x.
Use the commutative and associative property to reorder and group like terms. You have, you look at the values with an x or the variable x, and they combine those together. And then the numbers are like terms, so those are combined together. So then you evaluate them. When you are adding and subtracting fractions, your denominators have to be the same. So they have written equivalent fractions for each one so that the denominators are both the same. And then once you subtract, because we do have that subtract here, you get 2/15 times x, and then for -3 and negative 4 and 5/10, they're both negative, so you would add those up and you get -7 and 5/10. And so your simplified expression is 2/15 times x minus 7 and 5/10. Now let's try these. I'll do b since there's fractions involved. So I will do b with you. So we're going to combine like terms. So first, I always look to identify terms with variables. So I see I have these with p. So I'm going to combine those first. So we have these are all like terms. So I'm going to combine those, but we do have fractions and then a decimal. So for this one, I'm gonna change my decimal to a fraction, and we know that 0.5 represents half. So I have -1/2 plus, and I'm just doing the numbers, not the variables, plus 1/2 plus 2/3. And so all my denominators have to be the same. So I'm gonna look for a common factor, which I know is 6. I'm gonna multiply this by 3 and this one by 2. So now I have -3/6 plus 3/6 plus 4/6. And then when I add them all up, 3 plus 3 is 6, 6 plus 4 is 10. So I have 10 over 6. And it can't stay that way, so we have to divide my denominator into my numerator. It goes into it one time, and then it's going to equal 4, and then you do 1 is going to be your whole number, 4 is going to be your new numerator, 6 is going to be your denominator. We do have to simplify that 4/6 by dividing by common factor, which would be 2. So this would be 1 2/3. And then the last number we have here is the -2 75/100. And then this will be your simplified expression.
Simplify the expression 4 8/10 times A minus 5 1/10 times B minus 6 2/10 plus 2 4/10 times B minus 3 2/10 times A.
It says to use commutative and associative properties to reorder and group like terms. So you see all the blue are one set of like terms, the orange is another for the variable b and then the variable a, and then the number itself is a like term, and then they group them together so that you can combine them, and then once you combine them, that is your simplified expression. So now let's try one, and so we're going to look at, let's see, I'm going to underline the ones that are like. So we have G here that are like terms. I'm going to choose a different color, and we have these numbers that are like terms, and then K is a like term by itself. So let's do the green, the G's first. So we have the -3 7/10. I'm so sorry. We have the 5 2/10 G minus the -10 6/10 G plus 4 9/10 K plus this is going to be, this is where -3 7/10 goes. Then we're going to combine them. So the 5 2/10 G minus the 10 6/10, you're going to subtract because that's a -10 6/10. So you subtract that, and you will get negative, well, when you add that, you're going to get -5 4 tenths. So we're going to put negative 5 and 4 tenths g here. And then we're going to, let me erase this. Then we're going to combine the negative 3/7 and the 11 and 1/10. And because there's a negative, it's going to be essentially subtracting. So we're going to have, let me rewrite it to where this is there. So we're going to have to regroup. And then we have 7 and 11 minus 7 is 4. So it's going to be negative. I'm sorry, not negative, positive 7 and 4 tenths. And so the simplified expression would be negative 5 and 4 tenths g plus 4 and 9 tenths k plus 7 and 4 tenths. And that's it.